Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. In this video I want to tell you everything there is to know about the Radiant Life Whole House Filtration System Series 4 that we installed in our home about 3 years ago. I'm also going to tell you why we ended up investing in a whole house filtration system, how whole house filtration systems are different from under the sink RO systems. We actually have one of those too, and I'm going to tell you more about that. And traditional water softeners that are often confused with whole house filtration system. Now before we get started, make sure you subscribe to this channel, click on the little alert button so you get notified when I publish more videos like this. I also want to mention that this video and the description below might contain affiliated links that if you use them, I might get a commission. That doesn't change my editorial integrity, but it helps make this channel happen. I'm also not a medical doctor, so nothing in this video should be considered medical advice, but I've done a lot of research on water filtration and the importance of water quality, especially for drinking water. So stick with me and make sure you check out the resources I link down below, because they go into much more detail on the systems that we use and some of the reasons why we decided to filter our entire water supply. So before we get into the review of the Series 4 from Radiant Life, let's talk about why we decided to invest in a whole house water filtration system. Now, a couple of years ago, many years ago, when we moved into our first house, we noticed that a lot of our faucets would produce this black, nasty gunk. I have a separate video on this, so check that out. And after a lot of research and failed attempts to get information from our local water authority, I realized that it's manganese and some certain minerals like iron, manganese, and the resulting bacteria that would cause that black gunk. And later on I found out that too much manganese can actually be detrimental to your health. And so we decided to invest in a whole house filtration system, because an under the sink RO filter, which we already had at the time, wouldn't remove that black gunk from, toilets, from all of the faucets in our home. And that was the main reason. But later on we also found out, due to a lot of research I've done in the area of xenoestrogens, those are chemicals that mimic the sex hormone estrogen that are, prevalent in personal care products, plastic food storage containers, plastic bottles, and also tap water. And I'm like, what? Our regular tap water is contaminated with chemicals that can mess with my hormones? And so I did more research and I found out that a lot of the chemicals in drinking water and regular tap water are not tested for and don't get filtered out by water authorities. In addition, the water treatment plants, they add in chemicals like chlorine and fluoride that are also not good for our health, particularly not if you consume that water, but also if you get that water in your skin. So when you take a hot shower, the chlorine, some of those chemicals convert and they get absorbed through the skin and they can be detrimental to your health. So I'm like, okay, we need to filter our drinking water. The drinking water in the United States is unfortunately not clean and not really fit for human consumption, because there's gonna be issues in the long run. You're not gonna die immediately, obviously. It doesn't have bacteria and stuff like that, but in the long run, it has a lot of chemicals that are not good for our health, and there's a lot of scientific evidence behind that to back up those claims. And I've linked them down in my blog post, so you can check them out. So with that, we said we want to invest in a whole house filtration system. And when I started Googling, the first thing that popped up was a water softener, a whole house water softener. And a buddy of mine had one. And so I'm like, okay, that's what we're going to get. That's what, whole house water filtration means. And then I realized that those water softeners, they actually do a very poor job at cleaning that water and filtering it. Yes, they change the chemical composition a bit by, removing or changing the structure of some of those minerals that make water hard, like magnesium, etc. But they don't really do much to filter out pesticides, herbicides, other VOCs, volatile organic compounds, xenoestrogens and hormones. None of that gets filtered out. And obviously chlorine doesn't get filtered out. So we decided we need a real water filtration system, and Radiant Life appeared to have one of the best ones on the market, specifically the Radiant Life one. What it does is it kind of mimics how water gets filtered in nature. So if you think about it, water comes down, as rainfall, let's say, hits the earth, it trickles down through sediments and sand, and there's a lot of mechanical filtration going on. There is some chemical filtration where some of those compounds get changed so they become less of an issue, and then at some point the water that comes out the spring is clean and fit for human consumption. And so the Radiant Life Whole House Water Filtration System Series 4, they're different series depending on your water source, whether you're on municipal water or well water. They mimic that. They have active or activated charcoal, also called catalytic charcoal. They have zeolite, and they have a sediment base to mimic the filtration process of nature. And what that basically means is that any of the water that comes into our house goes through the filtration media and comes out clean the other way, and then it goes anywhere in the house. It doesn't really matter if we turn on the faucet in the bathroom or the garden hose, whatever the case might be. We always get filtered water. It doesn't taste like chlorine, that has all of the VOCs, heavy metal, fluoride, pesticides, herbicides, all of the things that are naturally in tap water. Unfortunately, all of those are removed. The problem with many whole house water filtration systems sometimes is that they reduce water pressure, right? And that's why it's important to get get the proper size system for based on your water consumption. Usually they look at the number of bathrooms to determine what kind of system you need. We got the Series 4 for 3 to 5 bathrooms. I think we have 3 bathrooms in our house, but I wanted to get some, some wiggle room because we use the water to, in our garden and for our animals, etc. So we went with the 3 to 5 bathroom system that provides plenty of pressure. Even if someone takes a shower, you still get decent water pressure out of other faucets in the house. In terms of installation, the installation requires usually a professional plumber to be done. It's not as easy as, screwing in an RO filter under your kitchen sink, which I've done before. With the whole house filtration system, you really need to cut the pipe and plug the system in where the water comes into your house. Well, you splice it in basically. And so we had a plumber out, and he and his assistants took a couple of hours actually to install the system. You also need a drainage capability because the system flushes from time to time to extend the life of the filter media, and so you need to take that into account. But after the installation, it's virtually maintenance free. There is no filters that you need to replace. There are not a whole lot of moving parts. It's actually only one tank and a timer on top that flushes the system every so often. And there is a sediment filter that sits between your water supply and the filtration tank to get out all the sediments. That again increases the lifespan of your filter. And that sediment filter, every month or so, I just go in there, turn on the valve, flush it, and pour the water away, and that's it. So it takes me literally 2 minutes every month to maintain the system. Nothing else is required. And the system has a lifespan of approximately 10 years. Again, it's really based on water consumption, but based on an average water consumption, it's about 10 years of lifespan. So what that means is, based on the cost of the system, it costs around $4,000, but I have a discount code down below if you want to check that out. So it's not exactly inexpensive, but over the course of 10 years, that system cost us approximately $30 per month. That's not a lot of money for clear and healthy drinking water. Now, Radiant Life also has a separate water restructuring cartridge that you can use to restructure the water, to change its molecular structure to make it more compatible with human physiology. I encourage you to look into water restructuring if that's something you're interested in. Again, it's optional, but Radiant Life has that capability, so you would get restructured water in your entire home. We've been using, as I said initially, that whole house filtration system for 3 years or so already. We use it to shower, we use it to make coffee, we use it to cook. To be quite honest, most of the time just drink the regular water, not the RO water. We use it for our animals. We have rabbits and we have chickens that consume that water, and we use it to water the garden. So I can be rest assured that all the water we consume in this house, that we get exposed to on the skin, etc., is clean and free of those most common chemicals that you would find in tap water, at least here in the United States, unfortunately. So one thing that I want to point out, and I'm going to show this up here on the side, the difference between a whole house filtration system, an RO system, and a water softener, because there are differences. Now, between the whole house filtration system and the RO system, and I mentioned we have both in our home, the RO system produces the cleanest water. In reality, if you filter your water using reverse osmosis, you get water that is void of everything. It doesn't have anything in there anymore. So if you measure the water, you wouldn't find anything in that water. You can one of those test sticks to test for, I think it's called total dissolved compounds or something, that tests how much solids are in the water, and RO water comes back with 0. There is nothing in the water. And drinking water that doesn't have anything, no trace minerals, no nothing, is not good for you, because that's not water as it would appear in nature. Water in nature is rich in minerals, in trace minerals, and some other compounds that are good for your health. And so drinking water that's void of any of that isn't good, because you risk that water is going to attract some of those minerals from either your tissue, your digestive system, or from the food that you eat, and then you flush it out, and you actually might end up with mineral deficiencies if you consume RO filtered water. And that's one of the reasons why we invested in a Radiant Life RO filtration system, because it has a remineralization cartridge to remineralize that water and add some of those minerals back that the RO system took out. But if you compare them side by side, the RO water still has fewer minerals and fewer impurities generally as the whole house filtered water. And so again, you know, the RO system is fine. We use it predominantly for drinking, but I would have no concerns just drinking the water filtered by our whole house filtration system. I think the differences in health benefits are not so significant that you would have to invest in both. And if you only have budget for one of those systems, I would go with the whole house water filtration system rather than with the RO system, to be quite honest. RO systems also require regular filter changes, you know, every couple of months, at least once a year. You know, there are different cartridges you need to replace, different membranes, you know, that you need to take into account. You need to test the water every month, and so, or every couple of months at least. And so there's a little bit more maintenance going on, but the water is cleaner at the end of the day, and RO systems are typically less expensive. Now, the reason why you cannot use an RO system for the entire house, I mean, you can, but it produces a lot of wastewater. For every gallon of RO water, you get 3 gallons of wastewater. So you wouldn't necessarily want to use RO water to shower or to take a bath or to water your garden, because you would be wasting a lot of water. And if you pay for your water, if it comes from the city, you know, then it's a cost factor. And so that's what makes RO systems not very feasible for whole house use. In terms of water softeners, as I've mentioned before, they just remove or change some of those minerals to make the water softer, but usually as a result of that, you also get a soapy, slimy kind of water that has a different odor, and it's not filtered in the same sense as a whole house water filtration system like the Series 4 from Radiant Life. So water softeners are okay to, you know, remove the stains on glass on your shower wall, to make your clothing softer when it comes out of the washer, etc. But it doesn't really filter the water to an extent to make it fit for human consumption. And so I'm not a huge fan of water softeners. I like the whole house water filtration that we have. It also softens the water a little bit because it removes some of the minerals. So we don't have stains on our shower door. We don't have any issues with our coffee maker because we use the regular water, but it's not to the extent as a water softener, and the water tastes better, it smells better, and it's cleaner at the end of the day. So those are the differences. I'm gonna again have that comparison table up here if you wanna look at it. And with that, we're gonna wrap it up. The bottom line is the Radiant Life Series 4, it's not necessarily inexpensive, but it's worth it over the course of 10 years. That's the lifespan of the system. I absolutely love that we have clean water in our entire home for our animals, for ourselves, obviously, even in the shower. And I would never ever move into another house again without investing in a whole house water filtration system. I might at some point say, you know what, we don't need the RO system anymore. I could, you know, wrap my head around that if budget is tight, but the whole house water filtration system, highly recommended. I would put it into every home that I live in to make sure we have clean drinking water, you know, that doesn't negatively impact our skin, doesn't make the skin dry, and, you know, doesn't have any chemicals that my body might absorb through the skin. I have a discount code down below for Radiant Life, regardless of what product you pick, but I'm going to link specifically the Series 4 that we have, and an in-depth review on my blog that goes into much more details about the Series 4. With that, we're going to wrap it up. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, let me know in the comments what I could have done better. Until next time.